Chronicles cassette. Gosh, I miss those times, man.
Alright lads, yes you read the title correctly. Welcome to the best tank in War Thunder. This is a 2S3M, a modernised self-propelled artillery piece. Now I know what you're saying, SAKO, you've gone fucking mental. How can a Howitzer be the best tank in War Thunder? Well stick around and I'll explain. This is a battle rating 6.3 vehicle. Seriously, how is it this low? We'll get back to that later. It's also rank 4, and obviously it's in the Soviet territory. To unlock this tank, you're going to have to grind out 82,000 research points before purchasing it for the cost of 240,000 silver lions. To put the tank in your lineup, it's only going to set you back 68,000 silver lions. Very cheap indeed. We then have the expert and ace qualifications, which aren't really necessary at this low battle rating, but that also makes them cheap. 240,000 silver lions for the expert and 990 golden eagles for the ace. Going on to the rewards, and when playing with a premium account and realistic battles, you can expect an RP modifier of 368% and a silver line modifier of 270%. In terms of customization, you have several camouflages available for golden eagles and one camouflage available on the Gaijin marketplace. So we've covered the basics, now let's get into the nitty gritty stuff about what makes this tank the best and most fun tank in War Thunder. Now, of course that's my opinion, but I'm right. If you don't like it, click off the video. Please don't boys, it's January, there's absolutely no revenue, I need all the views I can get. All that aside, let's go over the mobility and survivability. Kicking things off, the engine. This tank is powered by an engine producing 520 horsepower and it weighs 27.5 tons. While this is a very large vehicle, it actually has a surprisingly good top speed of 60 km per hour, but it is sort of let down by its poor reverse speed of only 14 km per hour. While the poor reverse speed is a little bit of a letdown, it cannot be underestimated just how fast this tank is. At battle rating 6.3, most of the other Soviet vehicles are pretty slow. In your average game, you will unironically be spearheading the attack in this thing. It is much faster than most of the contemporary Soviet vehicles, and a lot of the other vehicles in general. This thing almost has light tank levels of performance in a heavy tank size package. While this vehicle is obviously a little bit of a meme, its performance certainly is no joke. You can easily rush at the start of a game and get yourself into a very advantageous position. You can then use your great gun performance, which we'll get onto shortly, to deal with any enemies that approach you. The place where this tank is let down though is the survivability. As you can imagine, howitzers are not designed to take direct fire themselves. They are usually located behind friendly lines, firing over friendlies and into the enemy. This means they're usually designed to take small arms fire, if that. The 2S3M has a crew of 4 men, with a driver in the hull and a commander, gunner and loader located in the turret of the vehicle. The vehicle is quite large however, and the crew is spaced pretty far apart. This may save you frontally, or if an enemy shoots at the front of your tank, as a round that kills your driver is unlikely to kill anyone in the turret. But what about the amp performance itself? Well, the lower frontal plate can offer you around 52mm of protection, certainly not amazing. The upper frontal plate is incredibly well angled, but even with an angle attack of nearly 70 degrees, it still only offers you 15mm of protection. This is incredibly dangerous, because it means you're vulnerable to pretty much everything, especially aircraft and enemy artillery fire, as pretty much anything can penetrate the top of your hull. The turret is twice as thick, however, that still only makes it 33mm. This isn't enough to protect you against pretty much anything above 50 caliber machine gun fire. And to be honest lads, the armour at the front of the turret is probably only just thick enough to protect the crew from that monster 152mm gun blast. So this tank is incredibly fast for its size, but also incredibly under armoured. While they say that no armour is best armour, a lot of people say that's just a meme, but for this tank, the 2S3M, I'd say that is certainly the case. This thing is just so goddamn fast, it takes people by surprise. And as we're about to see, what you lack in armor protection, you make up for with devastating firepower. Now then, the firepower. This is where this tank really shows its mettle. This is the 152mm 2A33 cannon. You can carry a total of 46 rounds of ammunition, but your first stage ammunition rack holds 12 rounds. This means the first 12 rounds you fire have a faster reload compared to the rest of the ammunition. Speaking of which, with a stock crew you can reload this tank's gun every 18 seconds, and with an ace crew that drops down to 13.3 seconds. This is actually a surprisingly good reload for such a large gun. One area in which this tank is let down though is its vertical guidance characteristics. While it does have an incredibly good 60 degrees of gun elevation, it is a howitzer after all. It's pretty much let down by its 4 degrees of gun depression. This means you can't really use ridgelines or shoot from behind cover. What this means in practice is that you have to expose pretty much all of your tank in able to get a shot off. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you will have to pick your terrain carefully, as you will have to drive to the very top of a hill to shoot down at an enemy below you. And obviously, only having 15mm of armor on the majority of this vehicle, you aren't going to be surviving for a very long time if you attract the wrath of an enemy tanker. But what exactly does this tank fire? And why have I been saying that it is the most fun and most powerful tank currently in War Thunder? Well, that is obviously due to the ammunition. Your stock shell is a rather underpowered OF 540 round. I'm going to be honest with you lads, your stock shell is a little bit of a letdown, but it does get better. Much better. You can unlock a high explosive anti-tank shell in the first rank of the modifications. This is the BP 540. It has a low muzzle velocity of 680 meters per second, but it contains the equivalent of 5.9 kilos of TNT. This is housed in a high explosive anti-tank warhead, which gives it 250mm of penetration at all ranges. This is a very powerful round, especially for battle rating 6.3. You can punch right through Sherman Jumbos as well as Super Pershings. It then gets better in the second rank of the modifications, as you can unlock the BR540B. This is an armor-piercing high explosive ballistic cap shell. This is a rather basic armor-piercing shell, but it contains a TNT equivalent of 1.02 kilos of TNT. This is an insanely high amount of fill for such a round. If you penetrate a tank with these rounds, it will pretty much instantly kill it, no matter what it is. And it is surprisingly easy to penetrate something with this round, as at a range of 500 meters, it can penetrate 157mm of armor. That's actually better than the M18 Hellcat's gun. One downside of this round though, is it has a muzzle velocity of 600 meters per second, which is pretty low. Things then get damn near excellent in the third rank of the modifications, as you unlock the 3OF25 round. This travels at 655 meters per second, but contains an absolutely massive amount of TNT filler, 10.12 kilos in fact. With the recent changes to the overpressure mechanic, this absolutely rips through pretty much everything on the battlefield. It has 62mm of explosive penetration. If you can hit a tank pretty much on the upper frontal plate or on the roof of the turret, you will one-shot pretty much everything you hit here. I've shot tigers in the side and killed them instantly. Shooting a panther just below the turret with this thing will instantly kill it. And even if you do get fully up tier to 7.3 and you come across a mammoth heavy tank, you can still shoot below the tank, aiming for the inside of the tracks, and there's a good chance you'll still instantly kill the vehicle, as the explosive pressure wave kills the crew inside. This is by far my most used round. Even though you have a high explosive anti-tank and an armor piercing round, I have found that the 3OF25 just memes through everything, especially at battle rating 6.3, but there still are a lot of light and medium tanks used. You are pretty much the bane of everything on the battlefield when using this round, as even when fighting heavy tanks, you can maim and cripple them very reliably. At long range, a centre of mass shot is bound to cripple at least something on a tank, and at close range, you can easily aim for the commander's cupola or a driver's hatch, which will usually result in a kill. In the fourth rank of the modifications, we also have the 3OF25 variable time shell. This is the same high explosive shell found in rank 3, but just fitted with a variable time shell. This allows you to use it against helicopters and low flying aircraft, although you'll never see aircraft at battle rating 6.3. But if you want to up tier this tank up to 10.0 or 11.3 and do some pretty effective memeing in it, then by all means feel free. As much of a meme it would be to kill a plane with a howitzer round, I don't tend to take this into battle. I find that a full loadout of 3OF25 and maybe a couple of armor piercing shells work best for me. This tank also has a dozer blade, however I don't really use it. And finally, the tank has a commander's mounted 7.62mm machine gun, which is obviously fired by the commander. So lads, I can't say for certain that this is the best tank in War Thunder, but to me it's by far the most fun. I've been playing this tank quite a lot just to cool down when I get home from work in the evening, and while you will die very quickly if you actually do get spotted, just holding W at the start of a game, getting into a dead strong position, and then just instantly killing panthers and tigers with a single hit is just so satisfying to me. I do think this tank is quite a bit overpowered at battle rating 6.3. It could easily go to 7.3 and still be just as effective, if in fact not even more effective. Most tanks at battle rating 7.3 tend to be lightly armoured but faster, so pretty much no matter where you put this tank it's still very powerful. I've up tiered this to 11.3 along with the main battle tanks in the Soviet tech tree, and you can instantly kill Abrams and Leopards even at battle rating 11.3. So no matter where you take this tank, it's incredibly good. So yeah, I would highly recommend everybody grinding out this tank. It's super good fun. Being a low rank as well, it's not exactly breaking the bank to get it. It's only 89,000 RP. The modification unlock isn't that too bad when you get the high explosive anti-tank shell unlocked. But yeah lads, honestly try it. It's really fun. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to subscribe for more, leave a like, leave a comment. But most importantly lads, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in another video.